Watch Out Podcast Lane. Oh, fuck.
That's going to be the intro. Watch Out Podcast Lane. Ah, fuck.
Hello and welcome to the 41st episode of the GameBrew podcast. I am your host, Ian Splinter Richard, and I'm joined by Chris Michelangelo Wrights.
I'm an artist.
Dan Donatello Rotz.
I'm the Ninja Turtle who's real smart and
Will,
stuff.
You're the cool one. God.
We're all cool.
Will Krang Shell.
Well, I'm a brain. Okay, that's fair. I'll take that.
Got a brain.
I'll take that. That implies that I have
You're more okay with that than,
Yeah, I'll take that.
than Tom
I'll take
Bombadil. I just want to...
Oh, God, that's wrong. And Allison April Vandevender.
April O'Neil, Happy Hour News. Back to you, Ian.
Today, on the first half of the show, we'll groove to some rhythm games, and in the second half, we'll discuss the word gamer, and if it really has purpose anymore. But first, it is time for a beer. Chris, what are we drinking this week?
We're drinking a fine Baltimore brewed beer, some Guinness Blonde. So this is recently they opened up a Guinness factory in around Baltimore, and the priority of it is brewing Guinness Blonde, but they also are doing some microbrews and kind of testing stuff out, and if they work well there, they're going to distribute them, which is really neat for Baltimore.
Distributed. Nice. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, because it's an American lager, which is
Brewed by an Irish,
company.
famously Irish brewing company.
In Baltimore.
Thoughts on the blonde?
So, I like blondes.
Uh-huh.
I also like beer.
Uh-huh.
And this is pretty good.
This is both.
It's both. But it's an American lager. So like when I drink it, I'm gonna drink it right now. Drink it. And it's I mean, it's good. It tastes like a lager. It tastes like an American lager.
A lager.
You know? A lager. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, if you say that in Philly, then it's that's just Yingling. They just give you Yingling. It's generally okay. I don't feel strongly about it.
I think I agree. I think that with Guinness, they do a very good job of being like the trademark beer. So like when I think of stouts, I think of Guinness. When I think of blondes, I think of this Guinness Blonde, and I don't think they're the best of that type, but they do a good job.
Yeah. I also feel like lager is maybe just a hard category to really like set a precedent for, or a hard category to like make yourself known. You know, like if it's a stout, then you can go super hard into the stout, or like throw some coffee or peanut butter or something into it. Or if it's an IPA, you can like hop it to all hell or throw like citrus or something in there. But if it's a lager, it's a lager. You know what I mean?
That sounds like a great name for a beer. Hop it to all hell.
I'm sure like someone like Wicked Weed has done that.
No, we can do it.
Also, so I couldn't get my hands on the Guinness Blonde, so I'm drinking the stout. And I just remember this beer being better.
Here's the question: did you pour it hard and then let it sit for a little bit before you started drinking it?
Yeah,
Did
let
it come
settle?
also?
I sure
Did it come from a can with a widget?
Yep.
Yep, there it is.
Yep.
That's
I
the
like
widget sound.
It's legit. Like the foamy bits are awesome, but the actual beer is not as good as I remember it being.
What is a widget?
It's like a little thing. I don't know what it looks like, but it's in most stout cans.
Essentially, it's something that makes it so, like, when you pour the Guinness into a glass, it's still going to be very foamy and have, like, a really nice head.
Cool. I didn't know that was a thing for beer. So it's like a mixer bottle, but instead of protein, it's beer.
Yeah,
Beer team.
Kind of, yeah.
kind of.
Okay.
What are you drinking, Will? Because you couldn't find it either, right?
Yeah, I got so mad because you would think that with a name like Guinness, you could get it anywhere, because it's like Budweiser. I was so angry. We went to 4 different places, and none of them had it. And I was so mad. I was just like, I'm not buying anything. If I can't get Guinness, I'm not buying anything. I even looked for like a French beer and couldn't find that because I was going to drink it as a protest beer. But then on the way out, I've had it before. I saw some Sweet Baby Jesus, and I thought, I'm so mad right now. I feel like some Sweet Baby Jesus would help me feel better. So I got some Sweet Baby Jesus.
Wait, what is Sweet Baby Jesus?
And I'm feeling a little better. Sweet Baby Jesus is a chocolate peanut butter porter.
It's really yummy.
Shit.
And I was right. Sweet Baby Jesus has saved me from my bad mood.
And I think that's a fitting way to stop talking about the beer. Let's talk about what we've been playing this week.
No, we're not. We have to talk about what Allison's doing.
Oh, wait. Oh, what is Allison drinking?
I'm drinking green tea with white tea and honey lemon ginseng from Celestial Seasoning. See?
Celestial Seasoning.
So it's kind of blonde because it's white.
Yeah, it's got the white tea with it, so I thought that. And I might have incorrectly read, because I didn't understand blondes are different from what you guys are drinking, which is a Guinness Blonde, that it had citrus in it, which I don't think your stuff does. Sorry.
No, it does. It has hints of citrus.
Okay, good. Well, then I nailed it with my lemon, too.
It says on the label, it's rich and biscuity flavor with citrus notes and crisp finish.
Yeah, see,
but it doesn't have citrus in it. It has citrus notes. Those are two very different things.
I know, but this is really lemony. Huh? This is really lemony, which is why I like it when I'm sick, too.
But, like, is there lemon in it, or is there lemon notes?
Yeah. I'm going to come across the screen and punch you in your fuzzy face.
What kind of question is that anyway? Is there a lemon in it? Or...
That's like the snobbiest question I've ever gotten in my life. It's yummy, and it's really good for me when I'm sick because it's got honey and ginseng and yums.
Yum, 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 yum.
All right, Dan, you have the exciting games that you've been playing, so tell me
That's right, because you all just keep playing the same things over and over again.
Tell me about your games, Dan.
I have a PS4, and so I bought Spider-Man, the Marvel's Spider-Man, the video game, and it is just fun as shit because it's like it's very similar to kind of like the Batman games, like where it has sneaky style combat, and then it has like there's a lot of dodging and pressing buttons and countering and stuff like that when you're fighting. But my favorite thing to do is just swing through New York City because it's New York City that you're in.
That's always the best part.
It's just a lot of fun to do that.
That's awesome.
What'd you say, Ian?
I was saying that is traditionally the best part of the Spider-Man games is just the joy of movement. And I'm so glad they nailed it in this one, even though I don't have a PS4, so I won't be playing it anytime soon.
But the thing about it that's really cool is like when you're swinging on your webs through the city, not only does anytime you start swinging, the music changes. So you're like on the street walking around, and all of a sudden the music, you start swinging, it just goes, and it's like, oh my god, oh, I'm Spider-Man. But you also can't swing on things that are lower than you. Like that was one of the things in like Spider-Man 2, which people are like, it's like the best one. Not anymore. Also, it does not hold up. Is that like you could just swing and like you'd be swinging, but with this one, it's literally like if there's nothing higher than you, you can't swing. So like Central Park is a bitch because you got to like get below the trees and parkour over some stuff, and it's pretty sweet. It's definitely a lot of fun. I highly recommend it if you have a PlayStation 4.
That's awesome. And you also picked up Blops, yeah?
Yeah, because I just can't stop.
Yeah. I would say my main complaint about this Black Ops game is that instead of using Roman numerals as they have for the first 3, it's now just 4 I, which is incredibly bothersome.
Yeah. Well, but it's supposed to be like it's a shield or something. Who knows?
If they could make a shield out of an I and a V, people.
The people in marketing don't care about your opinion.
It's true, they don't. It's true, they don't. But I mean, the battle royale is, what you imagine a battle royale in Call of Duty would be.
Is it good?
Yeah, it is. For someone like me, my brother played one game and immediately got first place. And so he's real good. But it's kind of like, if you like Call of Duty multiplayer, it's good. Because it's not like PUBG where it's really precise targeting, and it's not like Fortnite where you can build all this random crap. It's literally just, hey, you want to play Call of Duty, but also a battle royale? Here you go. And then, of course, you've got regular multiplayer and you've got zombies. There's no campaign, but you can unlock stuff. Like, there's sort of a story associated with the multiplayer, which is kind of interesting.
Is there
Like-
anything you feel like from this game that is improved upon from the other Black Ops that will make me want to play it over the other Black Ops games? Like, that's kind of the problem I usually have with the Call of Duty games, is I feel like I'm just rehashing the same game over and over again. Is it really just the Battle Royale mode that's different?
There's that. There's also more zombies, which is different. And there's more multiplayer stuff, so there's like different guns. No, I mean, but that's the thing. It's like with Black Ops and all those games, we keep buying them because it's like, yeah, it's new. It's like why you buy the next Madden game.
I was gonna say, yeah, it sounds like
Yeah, but
Madden.
why do you buy the next Madden game? I
Well, I
don't
mean,
You gotta
at
get the
least
new
then-
stuff, man. Like,
At least then, aren't there new players? And
yeah, there's
things?
new players. There's updated stats.
There's not really with this, I think.
I think the appeal of the Madden games is that it's concurrent with what's going on in the NFL and
Right.
real life. Like, there's no, to my knowledge, we don't have any like commandos out there killing zombies that we don't know about in the
Well,
world.
It's
Or at
happening.
least that would be
It's
really
happening.
You don't
the
know
government
that.
doesn't want you to know that.
Ignorance
Yeah.
is bliss, Will.
Cool.
I'll probably end up buying it, but that's my only problem right now with buying it, is I'm just like, is it worth paying like launch pricing?
My brother-in-law wants to play it, so I was like, okay.
See, that's a compelling reason.
That's it. Yeah.
That in itself
My
is.
friends don't play.
I wonder if that's why Call of Duty is so popular, is because it's like a new one comes out and like one person buys it and is like, dude, the new one's so good, and everyone else is like, well, I guess I have
I
to play
guess.
the new one now.
That's literally the only reason I even thought about it, is Dan was like, I got it, you should get it. And I'm like, meh,
You're like, oh, maybe I should get it now.
All right, Chris, what about you, man? What have you been up to?
Been doing lots of PvP and WoW.
Which is super fun. Thank you for getting me into that, actually.
It is fun. I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of beating a dead horse at this point, but it's
You don't get any experience for that.
Beating a dead
you do. Beating a dead horse or playing PvP?
Beating a dead horse.
Beating a
Oh
dead
yeah,
horse.
no, totally you don't. 100%. That's not. There's no bonus for that.
No one recommends that.
But yeah, I mean, I've been, I'm kind of at this point, like I've been talking about WoW for what is it? At least 2 months at this point.
Yep.
Time to play a new game, Chris.
It's still holding my attention. And like I don't know if that's a
But you
me
said-
problem
you
or if that's a
s-
thing that's a good thing about
No.
WoW. But I'm still really enjoying, like, I mean, I'm still leveling up a character that I started at level 1. He's almost level 80 now, and so I got like 40 more levels to go before the level cap. But it hasn't been annoying, and like I've been enjoying it, and I've been doing some stuff on my main, who's level 120 at this point, and kind of like trying to get him geared up for, I don't know why, but you know, that's
Because you're going to go raid.
probably not. But like it's I don't know, I'm still really enjoying it, and I think that's commendable for the game.
Yeah.
Commander, bro.
Allison.
I'll be kind of brief, because I haven't had a lot of time to play. There's been a lot going on, and I was really sick this last week. So League is kind of it. I've been playing that, and I've been getting into it right now because Worlds is happening.
What does that mean?
What is Worlds?
So esports.
That's world champion.
Ah, yes,
Championship.
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so right now they're doing their like knockout groups to see who's going to be in the quarterfinals and see who's going to actually go for the title. So there's that, and I'm trying to get my rank up before November 12th, because that's when the cutoff is for ranked season. So hopefully I can bump up a little bit, and if anybody wants to talk about Worlds, I'm the girl to come to. I love discussing it.
2 questions.
Yes.
First, are you maining anyone for when you're playing, or
I'm main support, Nami usually, but sometimes Lux and Zyra.
okay? And do you have a prediction who's going to win?
No, because I haven't been following preseason as much as I normally do, so I don't know much about these teams right now. Probably a Korean team, though. That's just kind of how it rolls for us, so I'm just gonna
Sure.
go there.
Sure. Cool.
America's almost out already, which is really
Wow.
depressing. Yeah, we're not even in the quarterfinals.
That's right. We're fat and slow. It's just what happens.
Our hands are just too.
Any famous teams to look into?
Oh, there's a ton. C9's
Liquid
our
or-
American apple pie team, if you want to look into them at all. But they're kind of playing like booty sauce. I don't get it. I don't know what's happening.
Is booty sauce good?
TSM is
Booty
my
sauce
favorite
could be
team.
good.
No, it's bad.
Oh,
It's
okay.
bad. That's Allison TM right
Just
there.
the name is. Oh my god.
Yo, I play tuba like booty sauce. That'd be a good thing.
No.
I disagree.
But yeah, so it's a bad term. I made it up. It's bad.
Okay.
But yeah, TSM's my favorite American team, and they aren't even qualified, so I
Okay.
don't see much hope for us.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
I
facts.
just want you to know I'm doing the angels in the outfield thing for you.
Quack, quack.
Thank you.
Quack, quack.
Sneaky needs it.
What have you
Ducks
been
fly
up to?
together, Allison.
What have you been up to, Will?
I'll have Denzel Washington do a halftime pump up speech in the locker room.
I've been up to absolutely nothing. Between getting a master's degree and everything else I'm doing, I've watched people play games on Twitch, just whatever's on, just kind of bunny hopping around.
What have you been watching on Twitch?
Yeah, like particularly what?
Huh?
Like
What have you been watching on Twitch?
I actually watched some Magic the Gathering on there the other day because a
Physical
lot of my
or
students.
digital?
So here's the thing. The place where I teach, like Magic the Gathering, is rampant. Everyone plays.
Do you
I'm
teach in the
talking
90s?
like
Are you talking about physical cards right now?
physical cards. Everyone is walking around with a deck of Magic cards. Like it's the most absurd thing I've never
That's
seen anything
really
like
cool.
this.
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Everyone, like the popular people, the unpopular people, like everyone comes together and rallies around this game. So I was like, well, I guess I better figure out how to play this, because it's the same as the app. It's just things aren't automated for you, so you actually have to interpret the cards. It won't automatically do what it says on the card for you. But that's been pretty cool. So I've watched some of that, and that's kind of helped me interpret some of the gameplay, the game flow, for example. Because I mean, those people are like bam, 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 fast. Of course, they've got the stuff memorized, whereas I don't. But mainly that, a little WoW, just to get my WoW fix. A little Counter-Strike, just because, I mean, it's true to my heart. Gotta have some CS:GO in there, and I've just been vicariously living through other people for the most part.
Nice.
That's cool. I actually downloaded the Magic the Gathering Arena beta.
Yeah,
last
what did you
night.
think?
It's really interesting. I don't know whether I'll stick with it or not, but I spent a couple hours playing. It's Magic. It is incredibly faithful to the tabletop version.
It
and,
definitely is.
And with that comes just a shitload of rules and functions. Like there are so many different like ways things can interact and keywords. It's kind of nuts.
What did you think of the tutorial? Because it forces you to go through it, and I thought it did a great job of introducing some of those core concepts.
Yeah. I mean, it's the basics. It takes you through the introductory stuff, but it doesn't tell you anything about how many different effects there are out there. Like, at least when you do the Hearthstone stuff and you have to, like, fight through all of the class battles, you're getting an idea about, like, taunt and hero powers and, like, most of the core Hearthstone mechanics. But you can't even get at most of the core Magic the Gathering stuff in, like, an hour. Like, it takes way
for
longer
sure.
than that.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say there's just so much. The tutorial would be hours, and nobody wants to do that.
Yeah. So the alternative and what they did instead, which I think is the best thing they could have done, is to sort of just like plop you into the deep end and like, here you go, here's all the stuff, have fun. Which even to me, someone who's played Magic the Gathering before and is kind of a card game person, I'm like, I walked away last night thinking like, I'm not sure if I'll be back just because there's so much shit going on here. But I'll be back because it's a CCG.
I'll be back.
I'll be back.
So, side note, just in case anyone's curious about getting into some card games, you can apparently go to eBay, Craigslist, a bunch of different places, and you can get buckets, and I use the term quite literally, of just Magic cards just dumped into a box for a bucket, and like $35 for 1,000 cards. There's a mess of them out there. So if somebody's wanting to get into this, that's kind of a cool way to do that. And you just sort of build your own deck, which I'm learning to do, but it's a little bit more complicated than just like, oh, I like these cards.
Yeah, and the Magic the arena beta gives you a couple of decks to go with too, which is great. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move on to our first topic, which is rhythm games. So watch out, podcast land. The GameBrew is coming at you, and we're about to drop some sick beats.
Get out of that refrigerator!
Dan, you know we have an audio catalog for that, right?
We don't need an audio catalog. We have Dan.
We have Dan.
Dan is so talented in so many stupid ways, and I love it.
See, but that's the problem. It's the stupid ways. It's none that are helpful to any sort of thing.
They are helpful to me, and thank you.
But for real, though, we're going to talk about some super fun rhythm games that we played before. So let's throw them out, guys. What rhythm games have we played before that we love?
Osu?
Osu?
Osu? What is Osu?
I thought that was like the staple rhythm game. Am I the only one who knows Osu?
Maybe.
Osu? Maybe.
It's it was really popular back. I mean, it still is, but it has a lot of anime theme songs and things. It's user based, so people create their own rhythm games and people play them. I had a Twitch streamer friend who was really popular playing these and really good at them. They get really crazy difficult, and it's keyboard based because this one's computer. I can't play it well, but it was fun because it had relatable songs, and because it was user created, there wasn't really licensing people watched out for as much. I mean, sometimes it got taken down, but not really with the theme songs and things. They don't really care about stuff like that. So yeah, that one was really fun.
I've seen people play this before.
You said it's free to play? Freeware?
Yeah, you go to the website, you can download it, and you can play it. I think you can pay for some songs, but a lot of them are just free to play.
Did anybody ever play Crypt of the Necro Dancer?
I've heard a lot of good things about it, but I
It
haven't
is-
played
No.
it.
I've heard
It
you
is
talk
so-
about it about a year and a half ago, but
Yeah, I mean, it's still really. I opened it back up today just to check it back out again before we were talking about rhythm games, and the gameplay is fine. It's good, in fact. It's very fun, but the music in that game could literally be its own soundtrack. It's so flippin' good. It's really great.
So
But
good
that's
you
like-
didn't even want to curse.
I know. That's how good it was.
It was amazing. But that's like through compose. That's music for the game. It's not like popular tracks that.
Yeah, it's music
You-
for the game.
Okay.
But the conceit of Crypt of the Necro Dancer is that everything that you do in that game has to be to the beat of the music. So it kind of needs that through composed nature because it has to be interesting
It's gotta
enough to
fit
keep your
the
interest, but
rhythms.
consistent.
Explain
enough
what
that
you
can
mean
play
by
to
it has to fit the music. Like, do you have like a set of things you can do, and if you don't do it in time to the music, it doesn't work? Or
No, what I mean is that like it's a dungeon crawler. So you're looking at it from the top, and as you move from square to square, you need to move and attack in time with the beat of the music, or else your attacks don't work, and also you get beat up by enemies. So literally the whole time you're like a metronome, like click, 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 staying in time with the beat, and also managing where you are in comparison to your enemies while you're keeping time. So some enemies just move forward at you, but some like move in a square, or they like move toward you and then to the side, and you have to like figure out how to stay with the beat, but also like catch them where they are going to be. It's a really cool game. I would suggest that anyone who likes roguelikes and or techno music, and preferably both, check it out. It's great.
what if you can't hold a beat? Should you play this game?
You should not. If you can't keep a beat, I would never ever play this game.
You would get very frustrated. I feel.
You would get
Good
very
to know.
And actually, it is pretty hard. I think I only got to the 3rd level out of 4 before I let it go.
You know what games were not super frustrating while still being awesome? The Parappa the Rappa. Do you remember that stuff from like?
I remember that.
Yes.
I never played.
Those games were sweet just because it was like goofy, rap songs, and it was still like timed button presses and everything.
Yeah.
But just all the characters in it and just the cartoony nature of it, because that was a big one. There was another one with there was a lady who danced. She was like a reporter who was in the future.
April.
No,
April
not
O'Neil.
No, it's
With
something
happy
different.
news.
I'll remember it later.
Back
I'm just
to
gonna
you, Ian.
All right, Ian, it's back to you.
Sorry, Dan. Just don't ever bother talking again.
She has the superpower of going back to you. All she does is every time she says it, we have to.
So there are a couple of things about the rhythm game genre that are interesting to me. One of them is the question is sort of a similar thing to MMOs, is this an exclusive genre? And it's not one that I'm particularly familiar with, but it seems like there is a level of familiarity or skill that this genre demands to have fun in it, similar to other things.
I think that has to do with the learning curve of the game. For example, I'm not a percussionist, but there's this game, I think it was PS2, called Taiko Drum Master. Do you guys know this game? And you get 2 sticks and a little tiny taiko drum. Like, you don't get like the full size lifelike one because the developer cheaped out on you. But you get a little tiny taiko drum, and you can play the rims of the drum, and you can play on the drum, just somewhat similar to a real percussion instrument. And you can do okay up to a certain extent, but to get any farther, you have to either be a percussionist and have those muscles built up, or you have to have played the game enough to get through that learning and developmental curve, just like playing a real instrument, and develop the coordination and visual recognition of the note patterns to get any further.
Do they have an arcade version of this game?
I don't know.
I bet they do.
I feel like I've seen it. So at MagFest, which I go to every
there's
year,
a Taiko Master.
I'm fair like 95% positive that I see late at night a bunch of people always in line for this game where they're just like beating on this drum.
Dude, it's crazy watching people who play like on the expert level on this thing or like the master level.
Well, it's like DDR.
It's nuts.
Well, yeah.
It's like, how do you do that?
Well, and that's
with
kind
your
of that level
pants?
of mastery. Like, by yays or nays, how many of you have had like a positive experience with a rhythm game in your life?
Yay.
Yay.
It's always a mixture. Like, I feel like personally I enjoyed them, but in a public setting, I don't enjoy them because it's like almost like performance anxiety.
Right.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's the appeal for some people, that it is a performance.
Yeah.
Well, that was
Yeah.
for me. Like, I remember growing up with like Bust a Groove, which was a really cool PlayStation game in 1998-ish that I played a lot at home. And it was like a fighting rhythm game, which was interesting for me. But it was like really weird music, and they had really good character development, and it was fun. But as I grew up and did like Rock Band or DDR, I enjoyed that alone. But the second that people wanted to play Rock Band with me, I got severe anxiety and did not want to do it.
Like, I couldn't even play like Just Dance with people. Like, I would not ever.
What?
No, never.
I couldn't do it.
I can relate to this a little bit because my parents used to go to Las Vegas for vacations, and they would take me, and I couldn't gamble at the time, so they would take me to the arcade, and I used to spend an ungodly amount of quarters on what was that House of the Dead, and a game called Para Para Paradise. Do you guys know what Para Para Paradise is?
No.
It's DDR, but it's with infrared sensors in your arms. So if you get a forward arrow or an up arrow, you point your arm straight ahead and you break the sensor beam. And you've got 2 diagonal arrows at 45-degree angles to your body, and you've got 90-degree ones straight left and straight right. Look it up on YouTube.
What?
It's
See you posted
ridiculous.
something. I don't want to play
And
it because it'll be on the master. If
I was a chubby kid with, I didn't like to go swimming. Okay,
Yeah.
that was my confidence level, and I know there's a lot of listeners who can relate to the confidence level of, no, I'll sit over here and not swim. But I got really good at this game, and I felt confident getting up there and either competing with or being better than like skinny, in shape kids my own age. And Tubby me could come up there and whip some ass at this, and it felt really cool. Like, it made me feel like I was good at something competitive when I was not at all a competitive or athletic person whatsoever. So I can definitely kind of relate to the performance aspect being part of the appeal if you're good at it.
That's a really cool story, Will. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, that's great. I
can hear the smarminess in
No,
that.
but I
appreciate that you said it nonetheless.
I know you guys can't see Ian. It's an audio medium, but he is so smug right now. Look at I had a similar experience with Dance Dance Revolution because whenever I started playing that, I was at a video game developing camp I was at when I was 13 or something like that, and it was like just going to high school.
Dance Dance Revolution?
No, it was at a camp. There was a camp I went to for 2 weeks one summer where
you could have. I opened the door for you, and you could have said yes.
No, I don't want to be. I don't want to have that. Don't put that on me, Chris.
Well, I mean, it was originally called. We all do know it was originally called Dance Dance Revolution.
Yeah.
And they heard him wrong over the phone.
Dance.
They just wrote it down wrong.
Oh God! But what happened at this camp that I was at? I had seen it for the first time because it was like the PlayStation 2 version, and I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool. How do you do it?" You do the easy level, and so I basically spent 2 weeks at this camp becoming awesome at Dance Dance Revolution.
Did you play on the mat that breaks your ankle?
Yeah, I did.
Nice.
It was a lot. It was a lot of fun. Didn't break my ankles, but then, whenever I was going into high school, we would bring it to parties and stuff for marching band and all that. So we would just, instead of going outside and playing fun games, we would stand there and just have Dance Dance Revolution contests between each other in somebody's basement or whatever. Of course, I would practice on my own time because I'm super cool. But but it was it was so weird because I was so good at Dance Dance Revolution for like a year or two. And then I was just like, never mind, I'm not doing this anymore.
You had to practice to really keep up your skills.
Yeah, dude. Now I can't do it at all.
I bet
of course, all the arrows go different directions now. They don't go up, down, left, right. They go diagonal left, diagonal right, forward, and diagonal left and diagonal right backwards. And there's a center one. It's dumb.
What?
I know. It's crazy.
No. Goddamn millennials.
Oh, how times have changed. So another question just about rhythm games in general is, I wonder why we don't see more rhythm games as mini games in other larger titles, because it seems like a really great place for them to live. You see CCGs in RPGs, or you see puzzle games in RPGs, and there's kind of this confluence of culture and need in games to have mini games. Of why aren't there more rhythm games as mini games?
I think there are some that are out there. One that comes into mind is sorry, the Leisure Suit Larry, the second one where he goes to college, because there's a bunch of rhythm games in that. They're not done well, but they're in it.
I was thinking about Pokemon Stadium.
Oh,
the
yeah,
Clefairy one.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of rhythm-esque mini games, and they're not as complicated, but in Mario Party,
yeah,
they're there for sure.
Okay.
I feel like you see them.
Maybe I just missed them.
I think it's just hard to because whenever you don't make the whole game about it, it's easy for it to seem kitschy and stupid, if that makes any sense.
Or you don't even know that you're doing it necessarily, because you think it's more of a button mash, just pattern, and you're not realizing it's actually a mini rhythm game.
I mean, this was if you've played Final Fantasy VII, there's a squats mini game that you don't even realize is a mini game. You're just trying to get an item, and of course back then I don't know that mini game was really a term that was used, but you had to hit circle, square, triangle, X for all the motions of a squat, and it was essentially just a rhythm game, and you get a flow going. And
yeah, so they do exist.
That reminds me of almost like a QuickTime thing.
Well, I think we'll see more of the rhythm games too with VR, because it's very similar to the experience you get when you talk about arcade games. Like Beat Saber was at a con that I was at recently, and played that, and I got that arcade vibe from it.
Do you think that these games can hold your attention for a long time, or do you think they're kind of trivial?
I think that's why they lend well to arcade. I think they're fun burst games. But in like Rock Band, I felt the accomplishment. I got achievements. I unlocked new songs. I unlocked.
You had a
things
sense
for
of
my
accomplishment.
avatars. Yeah.
EA would be very happy about that.
if they add things like that to the games, then I see them thriving. But the problem is, like with Beat Saber, it was just I'm just hitting things and doing it in new songs. I didn't get anything extra out of it. I think if they don't kind of tap back into that, I don't think they're going to survive very well.
Sure.
All right, well, I guess we'll see. And that's it for our first half. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll discuss whether the term gamer has any social relevance. Stick with us.
Hey there, it's your friendly neighborhood Allison here, and I wanted to thank you for listening to us babble and having fun with us here at the GameBrew podcast. Seriously, you're the best, because without our GameBrew crew listeners, I'd be talking to myself, and that's something that would get me institutionalized after a little while. Just make sure you're a full member of the team and support us in the best way possible by sharing us with your friends, because we want to reach out and touch them too. I don't mean in a creepy way, a purely platonic, high-five-ish kind of way. Yeah. So follow us at the GameBrew and share us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever social media you use, because we want everyone in on the fun too, and it'll help us out. You can get in on our partnership with Humble Bundle, which is super cool if you haven't used it yet. Give it a go. We talk about it all the time here by going to bit.ly/GameBrew. And if you think I'm done asking for your help, you're wrong. My genuine favorite thing here is to hear from you. So we'd love to get your input on topics and ideas about what to talk about or drink, because we run out of things to do sometimes, and I'm not the most creative, so definitely give us a hand here. Just DM us, comment on a post on our social media, email us, or tweet us by tagging at the GameBrew, whatever you prefer. We're really easygoing here, nothing too hard. So like us, subscribe, all that jazz, and keep being geeky with us. I love it. Bye! Second half.
Okay, second half, here we go.
Time Mistress, start the timer.
It has started. Ideally 20 minutes. Ideally, okay?
Ideally, here we go. Hello and welcome back to the second half of the GameBrew podcast. Let's check in with the beer. How are we doing with the lager?
I'm sorry. Hold on. Ideally would be a great website for deals.
Oh, that's a great. You need to GoDaddy that right now.
Ideal.ly? Is that what you're saying?
Ideal.ly.
It's so funny. Because every time we have a podcast, I'm like, wow, this is the most train wreck of a podcast. And then we have something like this.
Oh, somebody already has it.
Damn it. I was going to say, but with it, it's like, it's going to show you a price, and it's like, ideally it would be this, but then it would give you the real price. It's like, wait, what?
And not even, somebody's just bought it just to sit on it. They're squatting on the
website.
domain.
I would go there all the time.
Hello and welcome to the second half of the GameBrew podcast, where we'll be discussing internet puns. Welcome, everybody.
So can you restart, please?
No, just keep going, because now because that's going in the podcast.
The beer. Talk about the damn beer.
Okay, so I got jealous that you guys were drinking stouts, because in Pennsylvania it's cold again, and that's the ideal
cold
time
Maryland,
for stout
man.
drinking. What?
It's cold, Maryland.
It's cold,
Dude,
it's cold on the East Coast. Let me rephrase
It was like
that then.
69 degrees today, okay? We're all suffering.
Oh, fuck off. I have. Whenever I bought the Guinness Blonde, I felt dirty because it was a Guinness that wasn't a stout. So I bought another stout just because. And it's the Breckenridge Brewery Nitro Irish Stout.
How's that nitro? Is it as good as in the Nitro Merlin?
I didn't have the Nitro Merlin, but hopefully it's not as good because it was cheaper.
It looks like a lot of head for a nitro, to be honest.
Well, no, it's not that much.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just
All right,
that-
it's pretty
yeah.
chill.
I held up the beer and I showed that it was not nearly as much head as Ian thought it was.
Is it smooth?
Yeah, it's smooth. It's nice and smooth. It's an Irish stout, so it's not super heavy. I think that's what Irish stouts are all about most of the time. You know,
It's sort of that smoky flavor without
Yeah.
the weight.
yeah, no, there's like no sticks or twigs in it. You know.
What
All
was
right,
that beer we had that one time? I'm sorry, that had scrapple in it, which is just a horrible
Beer
idea.
for breakfast.
That was beer for breakfast.
Yeah, okay, beer
Yeah.
for breakfast, okay.
Ooh, we should do a breakfast beers episode. That would be fun.
What?
But we should do it
What-
at
what would we
breakfast
do?
time.
Yeah, no, breakfast beers episode. We do like kegs and eggs.
Brunch
And-
with the game
Yes,
brew.
brunch with the game brew, and we talk about games that you used to like wake up and play in the morning or something.
And we make it live,
coming to a podcast near you.
which could be a bad idea.
I think
Sneak preview.
there are also like sort of rhythms to the day in terms of gaming. Like there's games that you're like, this is prime time games. These games happen, and then there's like the games you play when you go to bed, and there's like the little like entree that you have when you wake up in the morning. This is totally a thing. So let's get into the second half of the show. Our topic is about the term gamer. Do you, listener, identify as a gamer? How does it feel when someone calls you out as a gamer? Or does this term matter at all? So I think the opening question for this is, what does it mean now to be a gamer?
Well, first off, I would like to ask everyone
Yeah.
to raise their hand that considers themselves a gamer.
Maybe we do by ayes and nays.
That works too.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's,
sure.
it's an audio medium, so it better.
If you identify as a gamer, say aye.
I
Dan,
All
you
opposed.
did not say aye. Oh,
No.
all opposed?
Nay.
Opposed?
Extremely.
Nay.
I'm extremely opposed
Why?
Yeah,
this
yeah.
question because the term gamer is so outdated and exclusive. It's so dumb. I don't think that we should use it at all anymore. Yes.
Okay,
No.
okay,
Okay,
Dan-
please
Dan-
elaborate.
okay, let's-
so that
let's
I
dig
can
in.
have ammunition
Tell-
to tell you why you're wrong.
Tell us what you feel like is outdated about the term.
So
gamer.
here's can I just tell you why this? Because I suggested this topic of like a few weeks ago because
You did.
Bernie Burns of Rooster Teeth Productions tweeted out something and he said today in the App Store it was quoted games for non-gamers. And he was like, whatever that means. Can we just let the word gamer die already? It's not an exclusive club. And I agree with that so hard because gamer is used as a term now to describe people who just to exclude people from being enjoying their games. And we're excluding
Yeah.
people because they're non-gamers in quotes. And it's like it's such a term that doesn't need to exist anymore because there are so many different games out there that you can't classify someone as a gamer because this guy loves to play Hearthstone on his tablet. Would you say he's a gamer?
Dan, I really agree with you. I mean, it's like if you are passionate about movies, are you a movie person? Like a movier? Like
Yes, you're a movie.
Yeah, you're a movie buff.
we're all
That's
movie
why there's
people.
a term for that. As opposed to,
But like you're like just because you enjoy playing games doesn't make
like
like
movie buffs.
it's my turn to talk.
It's my turn.
Chris has the conch.
I raised my hand. It's my turn to talk.
Chris, you have the con.
I'm saying those of us that go to movies, just because we go to movies doesn't make us people that are movie buffs. We might enjoy movies. We might enjoy video games. And we might be passionate about movies or passionate about video games, but it shouldn't be a defining thing. There is so much more about it's so easy and so lazy to call someone, "Oh, you're just a gamer. You're a gamer. All you do is play video games." You know, and I think that's it's ridiculous.
So I think there are a couple of things here. I think that naturally in our society, the term gamer is used oftentimes as a pejorative. So there are negative connotations associated with gaming, just like the late, great Mitch Hedberg was really sad about being identified as a pot smoker. And he was like, what if it was just like cake and people just who ate cake, like no one, like people would not associate it negatively. But what I'm saying is that,
but I still do them too.
what I'm saying is that I think part of the reticence to use the term gamer is that when you say it, it comes off as a negative, whereas something like a movie buff, you can be a movie buff without it feeling like a negative that's socially acceptable by society. Part of the reason that we don't like the term is because it comes off as a negative even when people don't say it that way or mean it that way.
I think a lot of that has to do with like the unfortunate culture that is associated traditionally with being a quote unquote gamer. It's unfortunately had a negative connotation for quite a while, and while that's getting better, I think that has a lot to do with gamer having a negative connotation, whereas movie buff does not. And like furthermore, there's nothing wrong with a term that identifies a group of people who participate in a thing. For example, musician. Are you really a musician, or are you just a person who walks around with sticks and likes to hit things and make up random patterns and think that you're a percussionist? Because those are two very clearly different things. So are you a person who plays games and understands games and can speak intelligently about games, or do you just play casually and like you pick it up and sort of move your thumbs around and do whatever the game on the screen is that you happen to
So
be
are
in?
both of those
Sort of
gamers?
thing. I think that a delineation there is appropriate for the two different types of gamers.
Like people that play casually and people that play more passionately. Are they both gamers?
Yeah, just two different kinds. I don't think that there's anything wrong with two different labels for those types of things. I think there's nothing wrong with that.
I think maybe that's the issue. So for me, the term gamer is a broad sweeping term that started very early with a very negative connotation. And it came from the culture of video games. So when we were young and we grew up playing, I mean, for me, I played the Atari.
I'm still young.
I went into the Super Nintendo. And I'm talking about a baby. You ain't a baby anymore. You got facial hair. I played the Super Nintendo. And the Super Nintendo generated a new era of gaming in a lot of ways, because we grew up playing these things. So the idea was the people who played these things from childhood to adulthood were still stuck in childhood. And that's why the negative connotation came to the word gamer. People who were considered gamers in the media, like movies, were like adult childs, basically, in movies and films and things like that. Like lived in the basement kind of thing, and that's where I feel like the negative connotations to the word came from. Because it was a negative word when I was growing up, I feel like, and I've always been called negative words growing up, and I take them and I wear them, and it's like a badge of honor in a lot of ways. So when I was called a gamer back then, it was like the same as nerd or geek, where it was a negative word. And I was like, yeah, don't care. I've got my PSP, I'm going to play it. And that was something for me where it was just like, all right. And now I think it's a word that means someone who plays casually, someone who plays very seriously. It's just a broad sweeping term for people who play video games. I don't hold any more weight in it than that.
This is kind of the thing, is you keep saying that it's a negative thing, and that's
it was
not
a negative thing. I don't think it is anymore.
But exactly, because now it's a term that people use to exclude other people. Have you not? If you haven't experienced this, I'm going to tell you a little story. Because I was at the beer store that I go to, Spaz Beverage in Westchester. You should go there if you're in Westchester. It's great. There was, and I was talking to them a little bit about the podcast and about what we were probably going to talk about, which was the term gamer. And the girl who was behind the counter, she was like, "Oh my gosh, yes," because I was talking to someone who came in and started talking about video games. I started talking about, he was like, "Oh, are you like a real gamer, or you just play games?"
Oh,
and I was
no.
like, and she was like, and that was super offensive to me, because Why do I have to be a real gamer in quotes to know if I like a game or if games are fun or if I have to play it? And that's kind of what Bernie's tweet was about, is that people are now using gamer as a way to exclude other people from their points of view. There's still an overwhelmingly large amount of people who, whenever you say, oh, do you play games? And someone's like, yeah, I play Hearthstone on my tablet. And they're like, oh, no, I mean real games. And that's like, people's like, oh, no, you don't play Overwatch? You must not be a real gamer. That's the type of thing that happens that really frustrates me, and why I think that the term is not a thing. Like, it's everybody plays games now. So we don't need that term.
That's why I don't understand it in the way you just said it. I didn't understand that's the way this conversation was going to go, because those things are said to me about being a girl, not about being a gamer. So it's never, oh, are you a real gamer? It's, oh, so you're a girl who plays video games. You play, like, Hello Kitty Island Adventure. Like, it's never said in that way to me, so I guess I didn't understand what your stance was, and I better understand it, because that's never come up in my life.
That's interesting. Allison, can you talk more about, like, it sounds like what you're saying is that at times your gender is seen as something that disqualifies you to be a quote-unquote real gamer.
Yeah. Whenever they talk about me, like, for instance, when I say I play League of Legends, they're like, oh, so you support main? And it's like, yeah, I do. So? And they're like, girls only support main, I know. And it's like, no, that's just what I like. I don't understand how that's the problem. So they think that I'm just piggybacking off of people, so I have to support in order to play these games and things like that, where it's just, that's where my wheelhouse is, and that's where people bash me down as a gamer. It's never about the term gamer, but I can get where you're coming from now with that.
So what I'm wondering is, we have this dichotomy now where Dan's saying get rid of the term because it's being used to exclude people, and you're saying the term in fact is, though it might not be perceived as that way by everybody, but it's actually a broader category. Like, it actually means all y'all instead of just like a certain subgroup of quote unquote real gamers.
Yeah, I don't think the word, I guess from at least my standpoint, is excluding the word isn't going to solve anything, because people are going to still bash me because I'm a girl. If that's what you're saying, it's not necessarily that I feel like the word's bad, because I don't think the word's bad anymore. I think it's just a term created by advertisers, really. So it means nothing to me in a lot of ways. But I definitely get the exclusion and how it can feel hurtful. I just get it a different way. So
I don't think it's the term that's the issue. I think it's people feeling special because of a term, and that sort of higher order snobbishness that is so often associated with, I mean, musicians do it. Like basketball players, are you a baller? Are you a real music? I mean, this is anything that has a blanket term for people who participate in a category have this phenomenon, for lack of a better term, happen. And I don't think there's a solution to it, but I don't think the term is the problem. I think it's people feeling overtly special because they really want to identify, or maybe they do, maybe they are, an expert in that field, really identify with that particular categorization. But it's not the term, it's just assholes.
That's interesting. I almost think instead of going the way of like, well, gamer shouldn't be the term we use because it's too much of an umbrella, I kind of think like, why don't we just like shatter it in as many different ways? Like, yeah, maybe like I'm a phone gamer too, and like I also play on my Switch, so I'm a Switch gamer. Like just completely shatter it into
like splinter it.
Yeah, incredibly
like
small incredibly small subgenres, so that everyone can find their place under the big umbrella of gamer, and that's fine too.
I have a problem. Again, surprise. I have a problem with your desire to split it up into smaller sects, because then why would someone have to be a phone gamer whenever they have, like, okay, I mean, I'm showing my privilege here, but like I have every console, and I have a PC, and I have a phone, and I play games on all those things. So what am I? Like,
and you play board games and D&D.
And I play board games, and I like doing those all things because they're games. But that's not what I don't define myself as a gamer. I define myself as a person who likes to play games, but not as a gamer.
I just think that's splitting hairs, I guess. Why?
Concurred.
Because it's
is that his identity?
No,
let him answer the question. Let him answer the question. Why don't you identify as a gamer, Dan?
Because I have so many more interests. I define myself more so as someone who likes to play games. Because if putting myself into that box, I don't want to be put into that box, and I don't want to put other people into that box.
Nobody puts Dan in a corner.
But
That's
as
true.
a person,
Well, actually, that's not true. I'm currently in a corner. So it's,
as a person who plays music, are you not a musician?
okay.
See, that carries
That's where
a
I'm having a
proud
problem.
background to it.
with-
Like, I'm proud to say I'm a musician.
Right. I'm proud to say I'm a gamer because I play video games and I enjoy them.
Right, but I'm not going to say somebody who dabbles on the guitar and is not great is not a musician.
Right. But you play a lot of games and you enjoy it and it's part of a lot of your life. Would you not be a gamer?
No, I mean, I don't want to put that label on it because...
But you're a musician.
Dan, why can't you commit?
I don't need to be defined as any one thing. I want to be, here's what I want to be
Dan
defined
Rotz.
as. Dan fucking Rotz. That's what I want to be defined as. That's me.
I think that's-
no.
Yeah.
No.
Sorry.
That's me. This is what I'm saying, is that's me, because I am a musician. That is correct. I do play video games. That is correct. But I do not want to be defined as any one of those things. And I don't think that I should use those things to exclude other people from what we're doing. Just like I said before, I'm not going to say somebody's not a musician because they're a terrible singer. If they love to sing, Florence Foster Jenkins. I watched that movie very recently about her, and she was a terrible singer.
Is this the one about the singer in like the 20s that got recorded?
Yeah, and she was terrible,
That was a
but
good
she
movie.
did so much for the arts. And it's like, why would you say that she's not a musician because she's a terrible singer?
Some people would.
No, I
She was a
wouldn't.
musician. She's recorded.
If she considers herself a musician, I consider her a musician.
Okay.
I think maybe, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong on this, maybe I can understand where Dan's coming from a little bit on this, because Dan opened his conversation with this whole topic of discussing the negative components of that title in society, of gamer in society. And, I'm an educator, but the world of education and the state of this education in this country, not to open up a new conversation, it's just god awful, atrocious, and I don't always like, depending on the company I'm around, identifying as an educator. So I don't know if that's maybe the same thing as what Dan is. I don't like doing that because there's a lot of negative with it, and I'm careful when I reveal that, and depending on who I'm around. So
Interesting.
maybe that's kind of the same thing, Dan.
See, and that's where I think we got off topic in this conversation a little bit, because it's not about the labels. It is about people using that label to exclude other people. And that is what is frustrating to me. And that's why I think that this term specifically is one of the ones that causes, because I personally have never seen anyone pushed away from something because they are not a musician. I have seen people pushed away from things because they are not a quote unquote gamer, because someone thinks that it's like, oh, you're not a gamer, so you don't need to be a part of this.
I don't understand the need for having a label. Why do we have to have a label?
I don't think it's so necessary to kill, I guess, is where I'm coming from.
But that doesn't answer the question of why is it necessary.
I feel like the idea of how it's being used can be changed, but I don't know why we need to destroy this whole word and not call anyone who plays video games something just because.
Yeah, I think it's necessary, Chris, because
I do.
we as human beings, we want to put things in boxes. We love putting things in boxes. These people over here that
any more things in
these people over here that like to kick balls around, those are soccer players. These people over here that like to throw heavy things, those are shot putters. We just like to put things in boxes. And I think it's okay to say, as a group of individuals that game, they are gamers. I think Dan's point, however, that term can be exclusionary and dangerous is one that's well taken, and that we need to all be aware of when we're talking about the gaming community.
Yeah, we live in a fast-paced world where saying I enjoy playing video games is really difficult, but saying I'm a gamer in a short, quick spurt is much easier.
Why is it different?
Well, also
It's
it allows you
faster.
to I think there's also an important aspect of the term gamer where it allows you to make it part of yourself in a positive way. So I play video games as saying, I am a person, and outside of my person, I also do this thing. Whereas when you say, I am a gamer, you are saying that this is part of who I am.
And I would argue it's part of who I am, and I guess that's why.
But
I've
it also
always
could be
liked
misconstrued as this is who I am.
It could be.
I think
I
that-
totally agree with you.
it. Yeah, I guess that just is how people are, and if they take a word wrong with me, they take it wrong.
I also think that there's some, like, nothing ever goes away in modern, like, right now, like fucking Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, like all these things, nothing ever goes away. And so the only way to deal with this is to reclaim it or to change it in some way so that it's what we want it to be as a community instead of jettisoning it.
Jettisoning. Yep.
Jettisoning it.
Jettison.
Meet George jettisoning.
All right. Well, I feel like that was a really great, passionate discussion. Thank you to everybody.
Yeah, I do want to say that
yeah.
I still love you
Dan.
all. So that's,
We
even
still
though I'm
love you,
very
Dan.
passionate, That's fine.
So, Dan,
So
are you a
yeah.
lover?
I'm a person who loves people. I'm a person who loves people.
it's something
Well,
he does, Will, but he doesn't want to be put in that box.
That's
so you
true.
can fuck
That's
right
true.
off.
There's not two boxes.
I
We
am
put
not
in
a person
lover
who
or
fights
fighter.
people, that's
There's
for
more
sure.
boxes, you guys.
Wow. Just need a lover in my life, that's all.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Send
All right.
applications to thegambrew@gmail.com.
J-mail. All right. That's it for us at the Game Brew this week. Say goodnight, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.